A chorus of condemnation over the escalation of tension in the Middle East. China's top diplomat slamming the killing of Iran's supreme leader and incitement of regime change as unacceptable. Wang Yi called for the immediate cessation of military action and a return to dialogue. He was speaking with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, who says the U.S. and Israeli strikes seriously undermined the stability of the Middle East. Russian President Vladimir Putin expresses condolences over Khamenei's death, calling it a violation of human morality and international law. North Korea condemned the U.S. and Israeli actions as an illegal act of aggression and the most vile form of violation of sovereignty. And here in Southeast Asia, Thailand is preparing to evacuate its citizens from the Middle East. Prime Minister Anutin Chanvirakul says the government is coordinating with the Royal Thai Air Force and considering chartering flights. Priority will be given to those in Iran. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim says he's monitoring the situation and called for a diplomatic solution. He accused Israel of attempting to sabotage negotiations and drag other nations into a conflict. Indonesia's Foreign Affairs Ministry called on all parties to exercise restraint and says President Prabowo Subianto is willing to travel to Tehran to help mediate if the U.S. and Iran agree to negotiate. Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. says most Filipinos in the Middle East have moved to safety and no casualties have been reported. And Nick Harper covers this story for CNA live from Washington, D.C., and he joins us now. Nick, thank you for joining us. The U.S. president warning that the U.S. will hit Iran with a force that has never been seen before if the country retaliates. What is Donald Trump's endgame here, and what's his plan to achieve this?
Yeah, copying Donald Trump also promising that this military campaign may last throughout the week, perhaps even longer. We know that part of this was all about trying to degrade Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile program, but it's also very clear that regime change was at the heart of the US and Israeli attacks. Donald Trump, in his latest post on social media over the last 24 hours, in one of them saying that now was the time for the Iranian people to seize control of the country. He said it was time to take over the government, the single greatest chance, he said, for Iranians to take back their country. So it's clear that the United States, and we know Israel, have been wanting regime change for many, many years. This act has proved that. But it's really about what comes next. Who will succeed the Ayatollah after his 37-year iron-fisted rule on the country? And is the person who takes over going to be as hardline as Ali Khamenei? If he is, there is a strong possibility that the United States and Israel will not be done with Iran yet. If they see someone who is perhaps softer, who is perhaps willing to negotiate with the United States, then maybe there could be a change of calculation on Donald Trump's strategy in all of this. But I think it's worth just bearing in mind the months of planning that went into these strikes. We know that the US and Israel were coordinating very, very tightly. We also know that the CIA was watching from afar the Ayatollah's movement, seeing where he went every single day and sharing that information with Israel. And also that they managed to pinpoint that the Ayatollah would be meeting with top Iranian officials on Saturday morning in a single location. And we're told that when they found that out, they changed the timing of the strike. They were going to carry it out overnight during the cover of darkness. Instead, they decided to take advantage of this information with all of those leaders and the Ayatollah in one place. They decided to strike when they did, again, reinforcing that idea that they wanted regime change to take out the supreme leader, but also to take out those top Iranian officials.
Now, Nick, how much support does the president have for this strike back home? Can he afford a prolonged conflict in the Middle East?
Well, I think he has a real problem here. We have two campaigns underway at the same time, a military campaign, but also a public relations campaign. Donald Trump now needs to sell that message to the world that what he has done has made American lives safer. He has carried out an act of aggression to provide peace. Because remember, Donald Trump is the self-described president of peace. And yet here we are seeing him take military action. He has said, though, that the objective of the United States is peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. So he needs to sell that message to Americans. Are they safer now? Donald Trump thinks so. But we're heading into the midterms in November, and campaigning over the next few months will be focused, yes, on domestic issues, but also foreign policy. Americans, we know from polling, do not want to be dragged into another prolonged conflict after extricating themselves out of 20 years of conflict in Afghanistan. If this is a long conflict, that could significantly weaken Republicans' chances in the midterm elections. Over the coming hours, it's Sunday morning here, we will be seeing Donald Trump's advisors, maybe even cabinet members, on the Sunday morning talk shows, trying to sell that message to Americans that their lives are safer. But there is a long-term concern here. Has what the United States done in Iran caused perhaps a new generation of radicalism? Will there be Iranians vowing death to America for many years to come because of these strikes? It is a problem in the immediate future, the next few months for Donald Trump, but could provide a much longer-term problem for Israel and the United States for years and years to come.
Many thanks for that update. That was Nick Harper covering the developments live for CNA from Washington, D.C.